Well, hello, friends. It's Sarah Ford with Warming Up with Scentcerely Sara. Today is a very special day because Amber Ryan has joined us on our call.
Yay.
She is an absolute inspiration to me, and I know to so many other people. Her story is going to blow our minds. I just know it is. And she and I met in September at a leadership conference for superstar directors in Idaho, which is where our home office is. And so I shared with them about my channel, and she was so excited and so willing to come and do an interview. So we're officially here. It only took us 5 months, but we're here and I'm so excited. So thank you so much for joining me.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. Like you said, it's been a while. And like we were sharing before, as soon as you told us sitting at lunch one day, I was so excited about this and just what you're doing on your YouTube channel. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you. So Amber, when I get started with my interviews, I love to just know how you found this Scentsy business. Also, I want you to know too that there will be an income disclosure posted in the description, so you'll be covered. Your bases will be covered. So
Perfect.
so
Thank you. I didn't even think about that. I always forget about that. So thank you for saying that.
So I always like to tell people so that they know. So tell me what happened. How did you get started? How did you find this company?
All right. So I actually grew up, as many of us did. My mom is obsessed with candles, anything fragrance, anything clean, all those aspects. So I was a big time candle person. Bath and Body Works, the 3-wick candles, those were my jam. Not so much Yankee candles. That's what my mom loved, but I always loved fragrance. So let's see, way back. Okay, it's 2022. I have to think about the years now. I went to East Carolina University and met Chloe Cox, who is my sponsor, and one of my best friends. I met her in college. We both went to ECU together, and she started Scentsy in 2012. So I started buying from her about 2.5 years before I joined, and I had the what is the name of it? It's right at Cream Tulip Lampshade. It's sitting over there. My very first warmer and a bar of shimmer. And it took me about a year actually to buy from her. I was like, okay, I'm just going to go to the Greenville Mall. It's very sketchy, but I'm still going to go get my candles. And then when I finally bought from her, I was hooked. Never had a party, never said yes to joining from her the million times she told me. But I was obsessed with everything. I used the laundry products. I used Counter Clean, and I was just a really good customer. So that's how I got introduced to Scentsy. And then you want me to talk about why I joined, or are we going to go into that?
Go ahead.
Okay. And then, it was such a part of my life, and I had warmers everywhere. Like I said, I used laundry products. We didn't have diffusers at the time yet. I'm sure I would have had them in my house though. And I was a special education teacher at the time, and I moved from Greenville to Wilmington. I'm in Wilmington, North Carolina. And my teacher pay was no longer going to be the 12-month pay. It was going to switch to 10-month because I was switching counties, and I needed money for the summer. And I was really, teacher pays hard anywhere, but especially in North Carolina. And I was living paycheck to paycheck. And so I was like, I can't go 2 months without an income. I have a car payment. My boyfriend at the time, I was like, I have to help with bills. So I didn't want to go back to waiting tables. I loved the restaurant industry, such good money. But I was like, listen, I'm 23, 24. I don't even know how old I was at the time. I was like, I don't want to do that. I want my weekends to be mine. So Chloe actually, and I know Sarah, you were part of Scentsy because you've been a part of Scentsy for 9 years.
Yeah. So I joined in
Almost 10
2012
years.
as well.
Okay. She was going on the Disney trip, not this past family one, but the one before that. So over 6 years ago. And she posted a pair of shoes. And I was like, you know what? I've seen her go to Greece. I've seen her go, she's going to Disney and she earned it for like a bajillion people. And I was like, something's got to give. Like I've been watching her journey for a very long time. So I finally just literally went on her website and pressed join. And then I texted her and said, I joined your team. Now what do I do? And we hit the ball running.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah,
So you hit join
I did.
and you texted her, and what happened? What did
So
she
she
say?
was like, oh my God, why didn't you tell me you're going to do this? Because, like us being like Scentsy consultants now, we kind of like, we don't plan it, but like we know when people are about to join.
Mm-hmm.
So she was 2 hours away. She was in Greenville. I was in Wilmington. And she was like, okay, well, we have to do your launch party. So I'm coming down for that. So I think we scheduled it that week. She came down for my home in-home launch party. And I mean, I never really pressed stop on my Scentsy journey. It started from there. I had over $1,000 at my home party. So Wilmington was like, when people say Scentsy saturated,
Mm-hmm.
Scentsy is still not saturated anywhere. I don't care what anybody says. I meet people every day who have never used Scentsy.
Yeah.
Wilmington was like literally you could throw like a football and you would have to throw that football probably 15 times to even find somebody who knew what Scentsy was. So I don't want to say that I brought Scentsy to Wilmington, but essentially no one knew what it was here.
Yeah.
So I think my launch party, it was when the diffusers, the first diffusers had just come out. So that was my goal. I wanted to get the diffuser for free. The premium diffuser. So
What
I
year
did
was
get
that?
that. 2016. I joined April 2016.
Okay.
Yeah. So and I mean I look back at pictures of my starter kit and I'm like, holy cow, the people who join now, I'm like, can I get a redo? It gets so much stuff. The big testers.
Oh, yeah, huge.
I don't even know. It was the element warmer that was the gold that had like the looks like a hammer had hit it. Do you know what I'm talking about? The white and gold. It was like a ball. It was like a golf ball.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was my warmer.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. So it was a very incredibly successful launch party.
Yeah.
And home parties is how I really did my business up until COVID.
So did you book a lot of parties off of your first party?
So I want to say about 3. I actually had the very first girl that joined my team 2 days after I joined, and I had no idea what I was doing. So she was at my launch party as well, trying to figure out what to do.
Mm-hmm.
She's no longer on my team, but yeah. And then we did, or I did it, I think about 3 more from there,
Mm-hmm.
getting my feel with everything and kind of, making everybody have parties.
Yeah. I remember my first party was my cousin. And I basically said, like, you're having this party and I'm going to come to your house and, we're going to do it. And, it was really good. And, one of my favorite things, and maybe you can attest to this, about selling Scentsy, not about leadership or anything else, but about selling Scentsy, is that I have met so many people.
Yes.
And like just like relationships, and like you have somebody who buys from you, and then all of a sudden you're at their house delivering their order and you're there for an hour and a half.
Right.
Because you're sitting talking to them because they're just such an amazing human being, and you would have never in your life had the opportunity to meet them, and so that's that's one of the things that I really love. So you started having parties and you had someone join under you, but what happened when you started to recruit? Like, what did that what did that look like for you?
So it really started with me throwing the testers under everybody's nose. So my best friends, like you said, it was your cousin, everyone had to party with me. Like I was like, okay, you have to do it. Like my family, my best friend at the time, well, she's still my best friend from second grade. She had a bag party for me. Well, bag party. It was a big old basket that I bought from the dollar store and put, are you smelling what I'm selling? I wrote that in Sharpie on it. I'll have to show you the picture if I can find it. I'll send it to you. But and it was big. It was teal. It was ugly. I had all the testers in there. I had the catalogs, the samples and stuff that were, not fancy Canva labels now. They were written on with Sharpie. And gave that to her, and she quickly had a really, really good basket party and joined my team. So I was really getting people addicted to Scentsy. And I think that's what I've always kind of leaned towards. If you're adamant about the products and the products are amazing, the products sell themselves. If you love Scentsy, there's no point in you not, sharing it with everybody and you not getting paid off of it, because that's who I was for 2.5 years. It was no, 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 until I was like, okay, wait, something could be here. So I just really shared that with everybody. I'm trying to remember now, back in 2016, I went to Nashville, Cincy Family Reunion. So that was July. So I joined in April, July. And I was a star consultant then. And then right after that, I hit superstar consultant. So I was just sharing it with everybody.
Yeah. Sharing is caring.
It is.
In our house. And when my son gets mad, he says, sharing is not caring. Goodness. Okay. So you did mostly do home parties, right?
I did.
Which we all know, like as consultants who have been around since before 2020, we're kind of the bread and butter. And, like you said, we grew up, my mom did Tupperware. She always had pampered chef parties, and I loved it because the lady came to my house and made us food, like,
yeah.
That was fun. And, so that was our generation. That's what we grew up with, I feel like. And now we're in this little bit of this switch where people, they just don't want to hang out with each other anymore, I guess, because they're afraid, So how have you transitioned? And I know this is a little bit deeper than what I intended, but I told you I have lots of questions for you. How have you transitioned from home parties being your norm and part of your thriving business? How have you continued to thrive without those?
And yeah, shoot all the questions my way. I'm coffeeed up. We're good.
Yeah.
We're good. Okay. So when COVID happened, I was still full-time special education teacher, and school shut down, and I had to figure out how to teach from home. Teaching special education from home is a beast in itself. But I was doing intensive behavior support. So I found I was enjoying being home so much and doing stuff virtually, because I wasn't having this. I mean, not to sound bad, I didn't have behaviors that were distracting the fact that I could still teach. So, I was getting into the groove of, we had Zooms at scheduled times, and I was like, oh my gosh, I get to work my Scentsy business whenever I want to now. I was the teacher at school where everyone at my school bought from me. Everyone at my school, I mean, I still have, I think, 4 or 5 of the girls that I taught with are on my team. And I would be there like, okay, there's about to be a launch. All right, so we're going to do this. So when I got home, I was like, this is fantastic. I can do so much more. But I was like, I'm an in-home party person. What in the world am I about to? How am I going to get my PRV? Like, this is not cool. Sarah, I had never had a successful Facebook party ever. And when COVID hit, 2020? beginning of 2020, I had
Yeah.
been a consultant for 4 years. And I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do this. Wendy Newgas did a video and a training because she is the queen of Facebook parties. And when I tell you, I sat there and probably watched that video 5, 6 times, took avid paper pencil notes, and then tried to make it my own. That is what I did. I became a student all over again, and I learned how to have successful Facebook parties. I have a bookshelf that my husband bought me from, where was it from? Not Staples, not Hobby Lobby. It'll hit me. Anyways, bought me a book. Where?
Office Depot.
No. Oh.
Like
It's going to hit me randomly.
Michael's, no.
No.
I don't know.
Anyways, a store like that.
Mm-hmm.
Bought that for me because he knew that I needed the setup that Wendy Newgas had behind her in the videos. And we went from there. And I would, I was heavy on the live parties. Like I said, I watched and I learned what she did and I made it my own. And that's all I do now. That's all I do now. And actually, I found a lot more success with the Facebook parties than I was home parties, because it's not anyone having to take time and carve it out and open up their home and invite all the people, and it can all be virtual. But it was a very big blessing for my business learning how to do that. And I don't do Facebook parties, anything like that anymore. But I think just being able to, learn and shift with how things went, because none of us knew what was going to happen. And then, 3-4 months into it was the huge boom. And all of us that were consultants then are like, holy cow, like, where is all, like, why, since he's booming, like everything else is failing. And, it's just, there's just a lot of, I don't know, Facebook parties are fun. Like, I've really enjoyed them.
Yeah. So how do you keep people engaged? Do you send party packets?
So I actually have an outline. I do 3-day events. I do Facebook groups. I make them private because, income disclosure is on this. If we're doing any type of giveaways or anything, it has to be private. So I make sure they're private. I add the host. They add all their people. I make them an admin, because if they end up joining, that can be their VIP page.
Mm-hmm.
So no, I don't send them anything like a host packet or anything. I do send them extra goodies in the mail, samples and stuff like that. And then I'll send extra samples if they don't know what stuff smells like, or they have people that do want to come over and smell some stuff. But really, I just run it. I like I said, I have a Google Doc that I copy and paste from. I have it all kind of set up. Copy and paste from there into each day, 3-day event. And then I'll keep it open for about 4 days after that. But I do host coach. I let them know that they do have to hit that 200 before any rewards start kicking in. And then if it is one that is quote unquote kind of flopping, I'll coach them into taking the link and texting people personally and all that.
Yeah, that's great. So I don't normally ask these questions, but because I feel like your success, I feel like, well, first of all, I didn't realize that you had joined in 2016. So I thought you had joined more recently. But even still, so how many years did it take you to promote to SSD? Did you promote in 2020?
I promoted, yes, in 2020.
Okay.
So it's interesting, and I like to say this because I think a lot of people think that success just happens overnight. Mm-hmm. I sat stagnant at SSC for about a year, mm-hmm. And could not get to director because I was getting in my own way. And then once I hit director, I sat at director for 2 years. Mm-hmm. So I hit, I think it was 2019 was star director, 2020 was superstar director.
But let's be clear too, that's not abnormal.
Right.
like we see people who bam, 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 bam.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, I was a director for a couple of years. I was a star director for a couple of years before I hit superstar director. I honestly don't remember how long I was a superstar consultant at all. I don't remember that. But I had someone who had joined, and so once she started joining and adding people, I was like, oh, this is not happening. Like, I'm not going to be left in the dust. So I started kind of doing more, it motivated me.
Right.
And so, okay. So you left your teaching job, correct?
I did August of last year,
Okay.
a week before I was supposed to go back.
Oh, well, that Nashville trip that you talked about?
Yes.
I came home from that trip and quit my job. So, and then, yeah, and so my boss wasn't very happy about that. But what happened was I saw the potential that if I took the time to invest in myself versus investing in this, because I also did behavioral stuff in a school.
Oh,
Yeah, so I wasn't
there.
yeah, isn't that crazy? So
That is.
I wasn't a teacher, so thankfully I didn't have to do like the IEPs or anything, but I
Right.
did do a lot of like individual behavior plans.
Yeah.
And I was a social worker, and instead of doing social worky things, I was disciplining, which anybody who works in behavioral health knows that disciplining is quite the opposite of behavior planning.
Oh yeah.
Discipline, like it's not even, not that it's not a thing, but there's a difference between accountability, responsibility, and just discipline. And
Right.
so I ended up doing a lot of discipline where that was not what I wanted to do. And I hated it. I hated it. Like I felt like I felt like I was wasting my potential, if that makes sense.
Oh
And
yeah.
um so I had promoted to director, and fortunately my husband was supportive. We knew we were going to start a family soon, and that was always the plan. And so I said, like, sorry, but I'm peacing out. And it was like right at the beginning of the school year. And I felt horrible, because like I knew that, they were gonna have to scramble, but I knew somebody who could take my job, so it was fine.
Right.
But like, what made you like really say, this is the moment? Like, this is it. I'm done.
This is a good one. So last school year was, I wish I don't even have words for how horrible it was. I was writing solo from October until June of the school year. We had the other EC teacher quit, and they did not find a replacement for her. So as you say, teaching, IEPs, meetings, I was doing everything for about 45 students.
Mm-hmm.
And I already have anxiety, that, name a person that doesn't. And I was crying every day. If I wasn't crying at work, I was crying on the way to work. I did not want to go to work ever. I had already had really bad migraines, which was stress induced. And I was like, okay, if we can just get through this year, we'll just get through this year. So we got through. And last June, we hired a new teacher. And she texted me at the end of July telling me she had an interview for a new job. And that's where it kind of started spiraling. And I was like, okay. She's like, but I don't know if I'm going to take it. And I'm like, okay. I told my husband, I was like, there's no way. Found out that the only support person I had also got a new job.
Mm-hmm.
And God was just moving, and it was moving. And I was like, okay, you know what? And I sat down and I literally took every single bill that we have and wrote it down on a piece of paper, every single, down to like Netflix, like wrote it down on a piece of paper. What am I in charge of in this household.
Mhm.
And I presented it to my husband and I said, I want to leave my job. And you would have thought that I was telling him I wanted a divorce. He did not support it. So I'm glad your husband supported you. And I was just like, okay, well, I don't know what to do. So about 3-4 days, we didn't really speak because he knew what I wanted to do. And I'm very, strong-minded. And so is he. So it gets us in trouble a lot. And he's just like, you're going to do what you want to do anyways. And I'm like, you're right. I am. I'm
I said the same thing
miserable.
to my husband.
And I finally looked at him and I said, we can do this. I need you to give me 3 to 4 months of quitting teaching to focus on Scentsy full time.
Mhm.
And he was, just being mad at me. And I looked at him and I said, do you care about my mental health? And that was the game changer from there. He's never looked back. So here I am, I quit in August, it's January. We're
Mhm.
still making it. We still have a roof over our heads. We're still here, but I have never been happier doing Scentsy full time.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was making about $800 with Cincy when I quit a month. And I was making probably after taxes and stuff, I was probably making like double that because I was a social worker. I didn't make very much money.
Oh
I
yeah.
also didn't realize how much I was worth. Like I just accepted what they told me. And
Yeah.
I knew that like in a school system, like there's no like negotiating your pay, like it is what it is.
Right.
Whereas if I would have chosen to work somewhere else, I could have potentially negotiated. But again, social work, it's like teaching, like you don't really have a whole lot of negotiation in that realm.
There is no negotiation.
Yeah, this is your scale. This is
Yep.
what it looks like. You may or may not get a raise, just kind of depends on how we feel. and so when I left, I thought, I have the potential to do what I want, like to make the amount of money that I want to make. And now, I make quite a bit more.
Right.
Hashtag results may vary, is what we say. But it's kind of crazy, So now are you feeling a lot more confident about that decision in terms of like, I don't want to put you on the spot with finances, but are you feeling more confident in like, yeah, I totally got this. This is not even a question.
I'm a big trusting and putting my faith in God. So we've got this. As soon as I called my principal, he knew why I was calling. He literally said, this is you're just calling to quit, right? And I was like, I am. And I never cried, cleaned out my classroom, never cried. And that's where I knew it was such a God thing that I've literally put everything in his hands and let him kind of take the lead on that. But no, I'm not concerned at all. I have full control of what I do. If I don't work, then I don't get paid. So that's my mindset. And yeah, it's not, in the back of our minds, money is the root of all evil. So if you start to really like think about money a lot, it will take its toll. But it's those moments where you just got to say, okay, well, I need to make a little bit more. What do I need to do that? So
yeah, I think that's awesome. Okay, let's see, what time is it? I don't even know. Okay, so what would you say has been one of the biggest challenges for you within this business?
Biggest challenge for me is definitely in the leadership area. As far as getting out of my head and realizing that people who do not want it are not going to want it, and I cannot want it for them. And that is my biggest flaw as a human being. I'm a fixer. So I want so bad when I know something is so special, like Scentsy, and I know how much it's changed my life and my family's life. It's something that and I think all of us as leaders have that struggle where we want it so bad for them. And we're like, why can't you just do this? So I think getting out of my head, it took a lot of time. And it's something that I have to instill. And I still have to remind myself a lot. Yesterday, as I was messaging you, I was struggling with, some of my leaders, and it's just something that it's not my fault. So I think getting out of my own head, realizing that there's only so much I can do and I can't control other people. That's the
Yeah.
biggest mind game in this business, I think.
For sure. I wouldn't say that it's a flaw. No.
Well, it gets in my way sometimes.
Yeah.
Because I
Yeah.
just I want everyone to succeed. And it's, if somebody doesn't want it, and that the old saying, I have to remind myself all the time, I think it was my 7th grade English teacher said, you can bring a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. And it's so true. Somebody can have, back to where 2016, we didn't have any resources, to where it is now, and YouTube, hello, like your channel, like there's so many resources, and we're like, if you would just watch this, if you would just have a conversation, but we can't want it for people. So
Yeah, that's huge.
or we can want it, sorry.
Yeah. What do you think is your biggest success? Like, what do you think is a moment where you were like, I can't even believe that this is my life?
Being able to leave teaching. I never thought that would be a possibility. It's something that I watched, some of my closest, colleagues, quote unquote, in Scentsy do, and being able to see them say, I do Scentsy full time. And I was like, am I ever going to be able to do that? And, doing teaching and then coming home every single day and having to work more, it's, Scentsy's never been a job for me. It's a passion. I love Scentsy. And it makes me emotional how much I love Scentsy, because again, I'm a fixer. I want everyone to love Scentsy. But I think the fact that I was able to walk away from a 4-year degree to do something that I never thought I'd do. I don't have any background in marketing. I don't have any background in public speaking. I don't have, this never came naturally to me. I took a public speaking class in college, and it was a summer course. And I swear there was only 12 people in my class, and I would legit have panic attacks before I'd have to get in front of the room. So this is something that I could only talk in front of kids. That's when the teaching kicked in. But just being able to say wow, I worked so hard for this moment. And now I have to work 25 times harder because I have to stay here. But just that, and then going to SSD Summit in September, and just being like, I've looked up to every single person in this room, and now I get to sit at the table with them. I think that's a title's not everything, by any means. The income is whatever you make it in this company. But being able to walk away from something that you never thought, you're crying every day, it's not bringing you joy, and hating what you're doing just because you have to pay the bills. Like you said, with social work, just because you have to pay the bills is the only reason you're there. And just, knowing that these 4 walls is what I get to come in and decide what I get to do every day is just, it's something I'll never, ever, ever take for granted. And I'm just so blessed.
Yeah. I love that so much. So I'm just trying to think of a few of the questions, because when I first started this series, I asked some of my group, what are some things that you would want to know from an SSD? If you were able to ask them, what would you ask them? And what is your biggest success, and what is your hardest, not failure, I don't like to use the word failure, but challenge? Those were 2 of the questions they asked. The other things that they wanted to know were, what do you do on a daily basis? What does a day of work look like for you? And I would probably say, if you took out the leadership part of it, because we know that once you become a leader, there's a whole other list of things that you have to do.
Right.
But what do you think are some of the key things that you do on a daily basis? Like I follow you, of course, and I see your stories, so I know that you talk about Scentsy in your stories and
Yeah.
post about it. But what are some of the tasks that you do that you think have really helped?
Consistency is number one. That's something that I share nonstop in any training, anything I do, any conversation I have is really consistency. I have business hours. My team knows that. My group knows that. If you contact me outside of 9 to 3, Monday through Friday, I will talk to you the next day. That's the biggest thing. So I'm in my office, not necessarily 9 to 3, but I have, and I actually, so I'm a big fan of sticky notes. That's a lot of my systems, but I finally just typed up what I do each day. So Mondays are really I'm making sure I have parties. I know where my PRV is coming from that week. Sorry, I'm having to look over. I'm having a lot of conversations on Mondays. Right now, it looks a little bit differently because we have a new catalog coming out. So I've been doing a lot of bulk sampling, a lot of getting ready for that. Tuesdays and Thursdays are my team days. That's when I'm doing coaching. That's when I'm doing like recognition emails, voice texts, all that to people. Wednesdays, I do mail outs. That's when I sit down and I go through my orders and personal website orders. That's when I'm sending mail outs for them. And then Fridays really just like my cleanup day, whatever I haven't gotten to. I kind of made Fridays also when I'm doing deliveries for local orders as well. I'm still kind of trying to get in the groove of everything. But like I put everything on a sticky note. This is my to-do list today. It started with you at 10. So social media show up is a really big thing for me. If I'm not talking about Scentsy and people can't see me talking about Scentsy at least one time a day in my story, and in my mind, my business isn't open. So that's something I make sure that I do a lot of. And people can click real quick if they don't want to see it, but more likely than not, they're watching and then they'll message me and ask questions. That's about it.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. That's definitely something that I need to get into the habit of. So when my son started school, I thought I'm gonna have all this time, I'm gonna get all this stuff done while he's at school. And you realize that 10 hours is really not that many hours. And it's just been so crazy because he's been out a lot. Like today, like there was no reason for them not to have school today, but they didn't have school, so he's here. But my husband is a teacher, and
Okay.
he's home today working. They're on NTI is what they call it, and for 2 weeks because all their teachers are sick. So he's doing that, but I was fortunate that this was his time that he had to be able to hang out with, the kid.
Yeah.
And so, something that I've really been thinking about is systems and what I'm doing every day and how to make it work best for me.
Right.
And for my group. But if there was something that you could say to anybody who's watching, that you could leave them with a little tidbit of advice or just anything, what would you say to somebody, either that's just starting or who's in a rut or just needs to be encouraged?
Two things. This is a relationship business. This is all about communication. And it is all about how you make people feel. People are going to buy from you rather than, they could buy from you if they wanted to. People are going to come to you and be gravitated towards you because of who you are as a person. Take your business seriously. Don't think that Scentsy's just, another direct sales company. Work hard, have goals for yourself. And something I always say is do it scared. If it scares you, that means you're growing. and just don't give yourself excuses. Like, there's so many excuses that can keep all of us from success in life. And Scentsy is just a platter of, you take as much as you want. And if you're still not full, keep going, keep learning, keep striving, and really just work your business like you're a essential consultant trying to hit shooting star, trying to hit sensational start. But really, it's the people. It's the people, your customers, your clubbers, the people on your team. Love hard, and keep going. If you don't find success, it doesn't happen overnight.
No.
Keep going, keep being consistent, and it will come.
Yeah.
It will come.
Well, I love it. Thank you so much for
Thank
sharing your
you.
story, how Scentsy has changed your life and given you opportunities. And you're gonna have a big shift here in the next few months too, with your baby.
That's on my list over here. It says prep business before baby boy arrives. So I'm like,
Well,
oh gosh, I don't even know what to do before
yeah,
May, but we will get through.
yeah. So the month, no, I earned the incentive trip to I can't talk, the Mediterranean trip. I to like, I had Brantley like right in the middle of that. And so, obviously, if you want something, you can do it,
Right.
And so, and a newborn baby is, now that I have a 4-year-old, a newborn baby is like
A
just
walk in the park.
so easy. Well, anyways, don't hop off here because I'll stop the recording. But thank you so much for sharing your story, for sharing who you are. And I know that so many people are really gonna love this interview. I'm gonna share the heck out of it, and just thank you. So,
Thank you
all right,
so
guys.
much.
Yeah, that's it for today. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.